That one? Okay. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join us here for the Power is Within podcast. Today it's just Paulina and I. We're waiting for Henry and Claude to get here, and we have no other outside guests, just the family. And tonight's topic is, does man need family? My daughter was telling me that wasn't correct English, but that's the way we're stating it tonight, whether it's correct or not. Does man need family? This was brought on by a loyal subscriber of mine who's been following me or subscribing or listening to me since I started, over a year and a half ago. His name is Sparty Fortune, but it's not the Sparty Fortune Paulina doesn't like, the dating coach. It's another Sparty Fortune. He told me he's in India right now studying. He's from Saudi Arabia, I think. I may be wrong about that, Sparty, but I think I would have to reread it. But he asked me, he said, if world needs a man, why does he need family? Okay. Can he do everything by himself or for himself? Can you answer? It'd be great to make a video about it. Well, we made a video about it today, and you can find that on Instagram or YouTube. And I wasn't quite sure what he meant by that, so I asked him, I said, are you asking why does man need a family? And he said, yes. He says, I've experienced in my life that everything works out really well, your goals, mission, but eventually you get relationship problems, which creates issues. I've heard in one of your videos that men shouldn't be married in the U.S. I was wondering why men need family when there is magnificent power within you. That's a good question. Why does man need a family? Well, I suppose a man doesn't really need a family. He wants a family, but if all men decided not to have a family, then they wouldn't have children and they wouldn't procreate. We would not survive as a race, as humanity. We would eventually all pass away. We have to procreate. We have to continue to have children. Otherwise, when the older people like me pass away, then there's nobody there to keep pressing on. Humanity would die out. But as far as family goes, it's been my experience and my opinion, even though I am a single father with 6 kids, that the best, I would say, nucleus or formation of people for children to be raised in is with a mother and a father, and of course, if you have brothers and sisters. A stable relationship between a mother and a father doesn't necessarily have to be a husband and a wife, although that worked well back when that meant something. It was a commitment. But nowadays, at least here in the U.S., in my opinion, the government is so involved in the family system that it's lucrative many times for the woman to leave. And that can actually destroy the man financially, as he may have to pay for 1, 2, 3 children until the next 21 years. And from my experience, I'll guarantee you that to raise the kids is much cheaper than to pay child support. It doesn't cost me near as much to raise these 6 children if I were paying child support. And the problem with that is, at least here in the U.S., in pertaining to families and if a man needs a family or why a man would or wouldn't want a family here in the U.S., here comes Claude and Henry. Just a minute. We'll let them join in here. Watch out for the wires down there.
What are we talking about?
We're on, so.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Does man need family?
Oh, okay.
I was related to Sparty Fortune, not Sparty Fortune that you guys met,
Yeah.
but the other one. He's in India now. He says he's from Saudi Arabia. He wanted to know why man needs a family, or does man need a family if he has magnificent power within him? And I was explaining how the family, I believe, is a better nucleus or form of people or group of people to raise children. I believe that a husband and a wife, I believe in marriage, but I was also talking about how marriage in the United States is somewhat convoluted, is that the word, distorted? Because the government is so involved in the family. Mm-hmm. There was a time when the man actually needed the woman to raise the kids, and the woman actually needed the man to support the family or to support the family.
Yeah.
But now it's almost like the court system has got so involved, at least here in the U.S., in the family that it's almost lucrative or financially beneficial for the woman to leave. Yeah. And even in some states, if you've been married for so long, the woman gets lifetime alimony, which I don't understand because we have all this equal rights and women are the same as men and they want these equal opportunities until they get into divorce court and then they can't raise the kids by themselves. Now, I've raised you all by myself for the last 9 or 10 years. Okay, now few women are able to do that. I don't know too many men that do it either, but because they don't have the earning capacity. But they'll blame that on the men and say it's because they're not given the same opportunities. That's not true because the men are off on a different subject somewhat, but the men are the ones building the buildings, building the infrastructure. They're the one that set up the systems so women could actually survive without a man supporting them directly. Mm-hmm. These systems set up through the government were set up by men. It's supported by men, and I guess some women now with their taxes, but men normally make more because men do more. They do the dangerous jobs. They do the jobs that women are not able to do. So a lot of women complain about that, but the reality is men work longer. They have goals. They have more vision. They put in more time. They do the tough jobs. They sweat. They toil. And women, in general, don't do these types of jobs. You don't see them out doing construction other than holding the sign to stop and go, and they just can't lift the heavy things like the men can. Yeah. They cannot work the hours without the injuries that the men can. But back to the family, we need a family because the family is actually it's the nucleus of the government of the nation. The family is the heart of the nation because if you have strong families, you have a strong nation. You have weak families, as we're seeing here in the U.S., where the family is basically being disintegrated by the legal court system being involved in the family. As I said, they make it lucrative for the woman to leave, and the man generally ends up paying child support. And even if he pays child support and he raises his income, she can come back in a year and get more. Each time his income goes up, she can come back and get more. And then she can move in. A lot of times she'll get the house and she'll move her boyfriend in. They'll be working together. And then the husband is still paying for the kids, and he gets to see them maybe a couple weeks during the summer, and then, what's that?
Every other weekend.
Every other weekend. So he really doesn't have much influence, masculine influence on the kids. So back to the family, it's just much better, and I know it would have been better if you guys would have had a mom that was more involved in your life than, of course, she hasn't been involved at all, but if she was, because women, a feminine woman, and there's not a lot of those left in the U.S., doesn't seem like, can nurture and raise kids much better than I can. They just have that ability. I don't have that ability. I can try to do it, but it's not a natural ability that women have. Women have many abilities that really should be praised and honored, but they're actually being belittled, so most women don't want to stay home and raise kids. They want to go out and have a career. Most women now, from the ages of 18 and up, are talking about the career they're going to have, and afterwards they're going to have a family. You just really can't have both because the optimal time for women to have kids is between the ages of, 15, 18, and 25, somewhere after that. At the age of 30, half of a woman's 90% of a woman's eggs are gone, and the chances of her having problems with her pregnancy or the child having a birth defect or difficulties rises dramatically. So we go back to the family. In a family situation where it functions, as I said, that's the best environment for children to be raised because all of us have a feminine and a masculine side. And if each partner, the woman and the man, are operating, the woman's in her feminine, the man's in his masculine, then there's a balance, there's a duality there that the kids need. They need each side. They don't need just one or the other. They need both, an equal amount of both in a relationship. But as you guys know today, many of your friends, their parents may have a father in the home, but he's not taking his masculine role. And thus we have children that have no idea what to do when they grow up. They don't know how to treat a woman. They don't know how to ask for a date. They're afraid. They're full of fear. They don't know how to be masculine. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. They have social anxiety. They don't know how to talk to people. The guy that's working, the new employee we have, Mike, he was talking today how when he met you guys, how impressed he was because you guys walked up and shook his hand. He meets a lot of people, but most young kids, he says, half of them don't greet. Mm-hmm. He says hi and they don't say anything. Yeah. And rarely, if ever, does anybody walk up and shake his hand as you guys did. I said, it's only because I taught them. It's a simple thing. Yeah. And I agree because I'll be out running like before school and there's many kids on the sidewalks. I'll say hi as I run by. Rarely does anybody ever return my greeting.
Yeah.
These are etiquette which were taught to me, and I teach those same things to you. But these kids, as you know, on our street, we go down the street there, and there's a lot of parents with their kids waiting for the bus, and you wave at them, and they just look at you.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy down there, the long-haired, blonde-headed guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of a hippie. He always says hi. He
Yeah.
waves. But out of all those people, and there's, 15 or 20 down there, they don't return your greeting. And I could have bet you that their kids don't know how to shake someone's hand. And a lot of your friends come over here. I make them shake my hand.
Yeah.
Some of them don't know how to shake hands. They don't know how to look someone in the eye and shake their hand. These are all things you get from a balanced family. The father has his role of teaching the boys masculinity. There's an old joke. It says, a father keeps his daughters off the stripper poles and sons out of jail.
Yeah.
And I believe there's some truth in that. Family is it's a unit of people that really, and it's extend to, it's not just the mother and father. You have uncles, aunts, grandmas, and grandpas. And that was another good thing in my day a lot of times, and I'm sure it still goes on today, that the grandmother or grandpa, they help with the kids when the parents are working, especially if both of them have to work or the parents want to go out for a date or something. Then they can watch the kids, and then the parents can actually have some time together to stay bonded. Because many times when people have kids, I've experienced this, you don't really get to spend time with your wife. Like with your mother, looking back in retrospect, I should have been more leading about us having quality time, just her and I together. But after I had kids, we really had no one to watch them, and we just didn't do that. I don't think that's very good. So what are your experiences? How about you, Paulina, with maybe some of your friends or your idea about what family is or how important it is? I know you're never at a loss for words. Don't sit there like you don't have anything to say.
I don't know.
Well, I was gonna.
Can they talk about it first?
I was gonna say something about another good thing for like a man having a family is if he has sons or something to continue his legacy. You know, his company, like you have me, you teaching me and stuff. And I mean, you could have like one of your workers or something like that, or maybe one of your friends you're close to. But the people that learn the most are the people that are around you all the time. Like you said, we learn to shake people's hands and stuff like that, and we learn that from you. Just like how you work in your business and you talk to a lot of people, I've learned that from you as well. So I was gonna add that on.
And I don't know where as you're talking, my father didn't teach me that. Now, my father, by example, showed me what it was to be a man. He got up every day, went to work. He definitely disciplined us boys. And I seen him interacting with a lot of people. I probably saw him shake hands with people because I first shook my father's hand at age 30. And when I put my hand out, he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want to shake your hand." Because in my household, there was no hugging, there was no I love yous, no touching, none of that. And I thought as you were speaking, I thought, where did I learn that at? And I didn't learn it from any of my mentors as I was growing, but I must have saw that. I must have saw my father doing that because I've always known how to shake hands. I learned it somewhere. But these are important things. It's an interaction, and as we know, so many people your age and older have social anxiety. I mean, if you can walk up, and you guys can, and look a man in his eyes and shake his hand with a good, firm handshake, it means a lot to other men. It shows respect for yourself as well as the other man.
I think having family is good because it, I guess, in retrospect to you, I think it kind of gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you something to strive for, and not only that, but you have someone to provide for other than yourself, you know, and you have something to protect. You know, you'd be willing to give up everything you can to protect us and keep us safe, you know.
Yeah, and a man's job, and that's something else. Most young men don't know what their role is in a relationship. A man's role is to protect and to provide. A woman's role is to nurture and take care of the family and the house. That's, of course, now we have this modern woman deal since the women's liberation, but few women are happy out there chasing the career because they're just not men. They don't get the fulfillment out of that they think they're going to. But they do get, I can tell with Paulina. Paulina is all about, well, let's have a family dinner. Why don't we have people over? Let's get together. Let's have a family meeting. See, women are more into relationships, and men are more into achieving, accomplishing, and reaching for their vision, going out there and making things happen, providing for the family, protecting. Women are more about, like I said, about relationships and different things. Looks like she's got something to say now. No?
Another thing I was going to say is that even whether it's like, even whether your family is your friends and all that sort of stuff, like it's good to have like friends, you know, like if you consider them your family, because you're not always alone. You know, you have someone to discuss something about, whether you have problems, you can discuss to them. And like you said, you could be hanging out with five billionaires, and you'll be the sixth. Yeah. Like if that's your family, if like your friends are your family, you know, you'll how do I say this? You'll follow in their steps. You'll follow in their footsteps.
Yeah, you become part of what you're around. And I watch you guys. You're very different from my brother and I. We grew up, and we were never as close. But I see you guys joking around all day at work, and we're very fortunate because because I'm self-employed, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it. They use that word loosely, entrepreneur. We actually get to interact a lot together more than most people. A lot of families today, unfortunately, the father and mother are both working, which I don't agree with. Of course, now what they'll say is, I hear this all the time, well, it takes two incomes. Yes, it does. If you want the $500,000 house and the two Escalades in the garage and a storage shed because you have so much junk you have no place to put it because your two-car garage is filled and your basement. Yes, of course, it takes that much money. But it depends what your priorities are. And we've become so prioritized here in the United States with material things. How much we got, more than the Joneses, the big house and all that. But really, you need, I lost my topic there, or my train of thought. But it's better if the mother is home with the kids, because if she's not raising them, then, I remember now. Taking them to daycare, the father's taking them to daycare, the mother is. Okay, the parents only spend, let's say they pick the kid up at 5 o'clock. They get home at 6, they get some fast food. Few people cook anymore because they're tired by the time they get home. And then the kid goes to his room and gets on his device. Maybe the parent sits down, and maybe the father's got a side hustle, but maybe he sits down and watches TV. They really don't even know their kids. But we're really fortunate because you guys get to work with me. I'm self-employed. A lot of times I'm home during the day doing things. I'm always here, although when you come to my room, I'm like always busy. It's like, what do you want? I'm busy. It's like always somebody knocking on my door. But I'm always busy, but you can see I'm busy, and I've always told all of you, if you ever really need to talk to me, just say, Dad, I need to talk to you. Instead of just coming up and asking me for some new toy or cell phone for their birthday. I won't mention any names. But and then you guys get to work. So we talk as men at work, and this is something that in times of old, and more so before my time, unless it was a farm community. Now, a lot of those kids grew up with their fathers, so they get to know what it's like to be a man. As where I went back to what we were talking about, few children nowadays in suburban society or in the city get to spend a lot of time with their father, unless maybe they go out once a month or to go hunting or go on a camping trip. But as I said, you guys actually work with me. You get to see me interacting with clients. You get to see me going through the trials and tribulations of being self-employed, the problems, the difficulties, and the bidding, every aspect of life when it comes to dealing with other people. And this enhances your ability to deal socially, to have social skills, how to interact with men and women.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know before I started working with you, like a lot, like I have for the past few years, I didn't really talk to people much. I didn't really have conversations. But then I started talking to the customers more and more, and now I see myself talking to random people, you know, if it's at the gas station or if I'm walking down the street or something. And before I was like, I had social anxiety, I guess it's, you know. But over time, I kind of got over that by just talking to people, you know, because I seen you do it. So
everybody has social anxiety. I mean, if I go into a room with a lot of people that I don't know, I have some it's nervousness. It is fear, whatever you want to call it. But it's just like when I used to fight. Once you get in the ring, I mean, it's like scary before you get in there. Once you get punched in the face, you're okay. Same thing with social situations. Once you go in there and start talking to people, it's okay. It's just the fear. The fear is like false evidence appearing real is one acronym. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Acronym for that. And there's a lot of truth to that. The fear is really not real. It's something you've made up in your head, and I've experienced it. I experience fear every day. The only difference between a hero and a coward is the hero faces the fear and achieves his desire or gets killed. But the coward runs away to live another day, although what kind of life does he have? Because he's allowed fear to control his life.
Yeah.
you got anything you want to say
I
now?
think Polly, last couple of shows, she's really been quiet.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking more now.
Tell us about some of your friends, their family situations. What do you see or that could be better, or things, the problems you've observe because of maybe there's not a mother or a father in the house. Or, of course, as we know, many kids that come over here don't have a mother or father. Or maybe the mother and father's in jail, or they're a heroin addict,
Yeah,
or
I was gonna say.
they've OD'd, or I mean, it's such a common thing just in our small rural community here.
And they come here sometimes just to feel like they have a family.
Yeah, because there's structure here. I'm home every night, almost at the same time every night. I'm not out. I get up, I go to work every day. So there's a structure here. It's a pattern. Where in a lot of houses there's no structure. There's just haphazard things going on. They never know what's going to happen. Is their mom going to get home, or their dad, or how they going to be tonight, or different things like that. Even though I grew up in a home with alcoholism, I still had structure and consistency. Yeah, consistency. They got up every day. They went to work. My dad drank. My mom didn't. But it was the same thing every day, every day. I knew they were going to be home at night. So I didn't have any of this inconsistency, this insecurity of wondering if mom and dad were going to be there or if they were not going to come home.
Yeah, a lot of my friends don't have either a dad or a mom. I know a couple of my friends that I've made recently at school or over the summer, they haven't had a mom around. So they're like, there's two girls I was friends with. I'm still kind of friends with one of them. Dad's an alcoholic, and the other dad does drugs. So the dad that does drugs makes that girl sell them. So I guess if she had a mom around, I wouldn't be like that, but I'm pretty sure the reason why her mom isn't around is because of the dad. And then the one whose dad is an alcoholic, she's started drinking a lot, started affecting her life. She has a mom, she just lives all the way in somewhere else. And her life, I don't want to say her life's like messed up or anything, but I mean, it's a lot different from how I live, and I know a lot of people have tried to compare their living situation to my living situation, but a lot of people can't do that because they don't have a dad around. So a lot of people, claim they have daddy issues or mommy issues, and
Mommy.
and I don't know. I just think people have way different lives out there than they do here. Like if you get what I'm trying to say.
Like how we do, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to say, too, is a lot of I've had a lot of friends that have had stepfathers, but they still don't have the father figure around, really, because of the fact that the stepfather can't really do anything to the kids because they're not his kids,
Yeah.
And on top of that, I've even had friends that disrespect their dad. I mean, I've told you before that one kid was
amazing.
Yeah, and just telling his dad he's old or whatever it happens to be, but and there goes to show it's like there's not enough masculinity for a lot of these kids, and they need that because they go into life, and then they get beat up by the world or whatever it happens to be, and they don't know how to handle it.
Exactly. And nobody's ever put them in their place. And as you guys know, without going into any detail, when kids get to be teenagers, especially boys, they're going to stand up. I mean, I've heard some talk to their mother like she was a dog. And I would not allow that. Your mother's not here, but there's been times when you guys have tried to stand up to me, and if not to go into detail, if I would have allowed it, you would be running the house.
Yeah.
And I would be like your friend's dad, where he talks to him like he's a dog. And what all does he say? A couple of things you told me.
There was one time he's like, "Shut up, old man," or something like that.
Yeah,
And he's
no.
like, and he'll be like, "Oh my God, you're so ugly, bro." And like he'll just get all mad at him. He'll be like, "Shut up, just take me home,"
And then the father still buys him
Yeah,
things.
well,
and
yeah,
gives
because
him whatever
he
he
was
wants.
at the store one time and he wanted this speaker, and his dad wouldn't get it for him. He's like, "Shut up, Dad." He's like, "Just take me home." He was going off on him, and his dad was like, "Okay, I'll get it for you.
See, and he's not doing his son any favors. He's teaching his son not to respect authority. He doesn't have to respect authority. I think it's a big problem in the schools today. I mean, I have a son that would badmouth the teachers up there, and he was not afraid because they can't do anything. I mean, the teachers are not even allowed. Oh, we got somebody
I
coming
never
on.
did such thing.
I didn't mention any names, but it sounds like if the shoe fits, buddy.
Yeah.
But he didn't get away with that at home. But the teachers are not allowed to do anything to him other than put him in detention or whatever.
Or kick him
So
out, which he
back
didn't
when I
care
was a
about.
kid, they had a big paddle with these big holes in it, and they would whip you. I never got that because I didn't want
I
it.
did that in Guatemala.
Yeah, but they
with
would
them.
whip your butt. And that didn't hurt you, but there's some things that kids and adults don't understand except physical pain. Now they're still allowed to spank kids here in Missouri, but they don't do it.
The
Some
districts, yeah.
Some states they don't do it, but I know in my life, one of the best things that ever happened to me was getting in a fight. I mean, it doesn't kill you. And men, for some reason, I know a lot of women would, and maybe some men would disagree with this, but for men, there's something about, well, being men, wrestling, getting in a fight, getting punched in the face, punching somebody else in the face. Oh, that's violent. But we're a violent race. Look at the wars we have. We've been having wars ever since the beginning of time. It's just the way we are. And some say, well, we need to love and get out of it. Well, maybe we do, but we haven't reached that level of consciousness yet. So to survive in this world, it's a real good idea to be able to protect yourself. I've been assaulted several times, and I've been robbed at gunpoint. But several times I was also able to ward off these people because I can protect myself. I know how to fight. I learned that by getting beat up, by beating other people up, and just, I mean, there's something about that, being a warrior, that if you don't do that, either playing football, some kind of contact sport, it doesn't have to be boxing, kickboxing, UFC, but some kind of contact sport where you get out there and test your limits for a man that really makes you feel like a man. And thus you can take your place with your masculinity in society and in the family today and be an example for your son. Doesn't mean you have to go around beating everybody up, but it does mean as a man, for centuries, men have been the leaders. They've been the powerful. They're the ones that form the nations. They're the ones that do the exploring, discovered America and South America and all that. It was the men that did that. Still, the men are the ones making most of the inventions and creating these new things. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, who's the Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, they're the giants of that create these. That actually, from that trickle down many jobs and positions that help both men, women, and children. They provide a service, and they provide many jobs. Like Amazon, who did the Amazon? I don't know who's got that, but who started that? But that look at the service that provides. These ideas were by men. And it doesn't mean to say that women don't have good ideas. There are some women out there that are leaders too. But in general, throughout history, men have been the leader of the family and the leaders of nations. That's just the way it is. A few years of women's liberation is not going to change that. Men and women will never be the same. I'll never be able to have a baby. I don't care. Does that make me less? If a woman comes up to me and says, you can't ever have a baby like me. No, you're right, I can't. But if I go up to a woman and say, you're never going to make as much money as me, or you're never going to have the job, or you can't be as strong as me, they take that as an insult. I don't mean that as an insult at all. I can never be as feminine as a woman can. She can do things I can never do. And in a family, as I said, we have to each play our role. Now, I'm sure there are some families where the woman is more masculine and the man is feminine. I'm not sure how that works out. Maybe that works out okay. I'm not sure. But I know that in a regular family, if the man is masculine and takes his role and the woman takes her feminine role, it balances out the polarity of the sexes, I guess, for lack of a better word to say it. And it makes the family strong, and they work together. Doesn't mean they don't have difficulties, but they work together. She follows his lead. Now, does that mean she never gets to make a decision? Of course not. But they work together, but the ultimate decision has to be the man's in a relationship where the man is leading, which I believe works best.
Yeah, another thing I was gonna say is how you were asking her about like families and like, you know, if she's ever been around any of those situations. I remember one time a couple of years ago I was at a buddy's house and they were having dinner and they just weren't saying anything. And eventually it got to the point where I started having a conversation with my buddy, and then I talked to the mom and I talked to the dad, and I pretty much was the one starting a conversation while I was eating dinner with all of them. Like, I guess there just isn't a lot of communication even when people have like dinner together. They just don't talk. They eat and then get on with it and go to bed or something.
And the problem with that is, then we don't know each other. If you're not talking as a family, like we have family meetings sometimes, probably not as many as we should have, and it usually turns into a little bit of a discussion, somebody gets angry, but you have to have those to find out what's going on so everybody can work together. Now, Paulina did most of the cooking on Thanksgiving, if not all of it. I think Mark did some. Now, she took her place as the feminine in the house, and her role was to clean. And I know some women really have a fit about that.
Yeah, I know.
Now, does that mean that's what she's going to have to do the rest of her life? No. She's got a choice. If she wants to go out and have a career, but what greater career is there than raising children, the future of our nation, whichever nation you live in the world? What greater career, what more honorable career is there than that? You cannot have a career of being this magnificent whatever you want to be. Let's say I want to be an engineer, you're a woman, and raise your kids. No, someone else is going to be raising your kids in a daycare center with someone else's values. Is that what you really want? I don't want that for my kids. If I pick a partner, I want her to be imposing, I wouldn't say imposing, but giving her value, sharing her values, or the kids picking up her values rather than some daycare worker that who knows what her values are.
I was gonna say, I've seen a lot of people post like on TikTok and stuff like about how they shouldn't, like, everybody expects them to like clean and cook and stuff like that. And then I've had a couple of people ask me like, why does your dad make you do that?
Make you.
And I'm happy doing it. It makes me happy to have you guys come home and not be in a dirty house. Like, sometimes I slack a little bit, but I mean, I like being told, like, say you're telling me I did a good job. I like hearing that. But if I'm not cleaning, and also not only that, but when I clean, I get stuff. I don't always expect stuff out of it, but I get
you benefit, yeah.
but I get stuff out of it because you guys are out working and I'm home cleaning. I mean, if I have nothing else to do, I might as well clean because you guys are out doing something when you could just stay home and not make money for the family or anything like that. And I really appreciate what you guys do, and I know you guys appreciate what I do.
Yeah, it's great to come home and have a clean house. I mean, in a clean room.
And some food sometimes when I'm hungry, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
And I also like cooking. Having dinner is like, I guess you could say, a special occasion for us because anytime we try to eat, someone gets into an argument.
Or someone's gone or something.
It's a big deal getting everybody together.
Yeah, or someone's not here. It's just such a complicated thing. And I think mainly because you three older guys are busy and Mark's not here anymore. He moved out and you're busy half the time. And then Frank's always with his friends. And then it's me and Kevin are the only ones left here.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes me happy. And other people are like, why does he make you do that though? I mean, I don't care. I think learning younger is better, and it benefits you for the rest of your life, because I think when I get older, I would love to carry on with my singing career and making music, but I would think of that as a little side hustle, and I would take care of my kids when I get older. But I think learning younger is a lot better, because when I get older, I'll know what to do instead of questioning oh, why is he trying to make him food while he's at work, or something like that.
We all have to contribute in the family. And let's just say we have a family with just a husband and a wife, or the man and the woman if they're not married. If she's working and he's working, then they both should share the housework, I believe. They should. I mean, that's a little different. But if she's staying home, she needs to provide him with a place he can come home and just relax and be comfortable, because the more she helps him to have a place of refuge, the easier it is and the better he's going to be able to go out there and conquer, provision, and provide. And the more he succeeds in a functional man and woman relationship, that all rains down on her. She benefits from that. And that's what sometimes I think women today don't see, that a man who's achieving something, a man who can provide them with a life that they want these high-status men, 6 foot tall, six-pack abs, and six-figure income. Not all women want that, but who would turn down a guy like that? Okay, if they want that, was you signaling something there? Okay. Thought my cameraman was on me. But if they want that, then a man like that wants a woman who's going to cooperate. Mm-hmm. That's really what we want. We want a woman who's going to, we don't want someone we have to argue with all the time. We want to do something, go out or make a decision. We don't want to have to argue with her. It's not to say that we won't take her consultation in consideration, because women have usually, in general, much more intuition than men. You could be doing a business deal, and if your wife is there with you listening, she could tell you she doesn't feel, something about it doesn't feel right. But to you, logically, on the surface, everything looks great. But if she says, and if she's a good woman to you, she's a good wife, you trust her, and she tells you that she doesn't feel right about it, you need to listen to her. Because they can pick up on stuff, subtle cues that men just gloss over because we're more logical. We don't see things like women do. That's why a woman, when she meets a guy, he may be the best looking guy in the world, but when she's talking to him, if he isn't strong on the inside, she won't like him. Because women are attracted by sight, but once a man opens his mouth, if he doesn't have the character, the inner strength, that's what women are really attracted to, because they're looking for someone that's better than they are, stronger than they are. Now, they won't always admit that, but most women want a man who's better, or they want to see him as something more than they are. They want to be equal with every man except the man they're with. Why would you want a man that's equal with you when the robber breaks in at night? Oh, well, honey, I'm afraid to go down. I'm kind of scared. Can you go down tonight? No, the man, it's his job to get up and go down there and see what needs to be done to protect his wife, his family, his kids, whatever they have. So these are things in a functional family that people have seemed to have forgotten. And as I spoke about earlier, the divorce thing, at least here in the U.S., I think the rates are 50% of marriages end in divorce, and it can be a financial catastrophe for the man. Okay, and it looks like it's a way out of the challenges or the problems because all relationships have problems. I mean, life is one continuous problem where we're supposed to be looking for a continuous solution, to live in the solution. If we didn't have problems, we would not grow. So sometimes it looks like an easy way out. Well, I can get the house, he'll pay for the kids, I don't have to do whatever it is she doesn't like. But she'll just find herself in the same place down the road with some other man, plus all the problems that have been created from the divorce. And I don't know what the percentages are on that, but most divorces are initiated by the woman. Now, there was a time when I was younger where a woman needed a man. She could not just leave and go down to the DFS office, sign up for welfare, get housing, all these things, or she couldn't go to court. And actually another thing was, too, that if she was committing adultery, that was a big deal. Now there's no fault divorce. She can do whatever she wants to, and it's still, there's no fault. So the contract of marriage really means nothing. It used to mean something. Each person had responsibility and accountability. But in today's society, men have all the responsibility and accountability, but they have no authority to say anything in their home. She gets angry with him, at least in our state, she can run right up there to the judge's office and say he threatened her, whether he did or not, and they'll give her an ex parte. He'll be out of the house. 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, he's got to try to prove he didn't do that, which is just almost impossible to do. So he's out of the house. He's paying child support. He may not have done anything, or maybe they had an argument and they said something that they didn't mean, but which we all do. So that's the power that women have, and they become emotional. I've seen women throw men in jail, and then next day they're trying to get him out because they got angry and they made something up or they said something they wish they hadn't have. He's in jail. I mean, because a lot of times women's emotions overrule their logic. Now, there are exceptions, of course, not all, but in general, a woman gets really emotional, she'll do something and regret it later. But it's too late to take it back because she's already done it. So,
one thing I was gonna say is it's good to be working with you guys and all that sort of stuff and have a podcast because whether we're talking about a subject or something like that, we get so used to talking to each other that communication for us with strangers or with other people, like people who we're working with or customers, it makes it so much easier because we're so used to talking. Where in different situations, if you're not talking to your family at all, you're not going to have an easy time talking to a stranger, talking to a customer. It's going to make it real hard.
and as I said before, the deal is today, at least what I see, and you guys can verify this or not, many kids come home from school, they go to the room and they get on their device.
Yep.
And they stay in the room and they don't come out. I won't mention any names here. Somebody to my right there does that sometimes. And then sometimes she feels a little down because she's not getting enough exercise. We need to stay active.
Yeah.
You know, we're physical, mental, emotional, human, and spiritual, or metaphysical, if you like, human beings. And we have to attend to all those parts of us. It's unfortunate in school they don't teach about anything like that. They teach logical things, but they don't talk about your spiritual or your spirituality or your metaphysicality. I don't know if you want to say it that way. And these things are important too. Meditation, exercise. When I was in school, exercise was you had to be to be considered fit. You had to be able to run a mile, do 50 sit-ups in a certain amount of time, so many push-ups or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now many kids couldn't do that. But then again, I think that goes back to the family. We had the breakdown of the family. The men are not. Maybe they work in an office all day. They're tired. They don't come home and play with their kids. They don't spend any time with their kids. That's why these children come here. Some of them don't know how to shake hands. They don't know how to look people in the eye. They don't know how to talk to people. Nobody's ever taught them. It's not that they're bad. They just never have had instruction on how to do that. And that's very important. And that's supposed to come from the man. Another thing I noticed in school, they're teaching this sex education, good touch, bad touch. that's not a bad thing, but these things should be taught in the home. The school is taking over. Once again, the government is getting them too involved in the families. But we have to consider that the fault of the men because they're not taking their place as the leader in the family. I relate it all back to the men. If we have women trying to take over, I believe it's because the men are not taking their place, their masculine place in society. Women are fearful when men are not being men, so they try to pass these laws to make these things get more control because they have fear. Are you falling asleep over there, Polly? What's your take on that? What do you think about that?
Shoot, I kind of lost. I kind of zoned out
on me there.
I zoned out for a second, so I didn't really pay attention to what you said. I'm pretty sure the cameraman did, though. You got something to say?
He's silent tonight.
Yeah.
I was talking about him getting in trouble in school. He has nothing to say.
Yeah, called him out for it.
Called him out. All right, well, we could wrap it up early tonight. You guys haven't been too talkative the last 2-3 times.
Yeah, I talked more this time at least.
gonna
I did a little bit
you
of
did.
talking.
Yeah, you talk more tonight. We're gonna have to invite a out of town guest from somewhere and fly him in here so we can get some things going. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up tonight. We thank you for joining us, and we will be back. We will be back next Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for another edition of Mark's Inspiration, the Power is Within podcast. And thank you